What if I told you, like, right now, 1 in 7 people
Whoa.
around the world live within 5 kilometers of violence,
Yeah.
political violence?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
That's a huge number.
It is. And that's what we're diving into today. Is peace just an illusion?
Right.
We've got reports, analyses, even encyclopedia entries,
Oh, wow.
all about global conflict, and we're going to unpack it all
Yeah.
for you.
I love it.
We're going deeper than just like listing wars.
Right.
We're looking at the trends, the causes,
Absolutely.
what it all means for you listening right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating how this data really challenges our perceptions of conflict.
Yeah.
You might think of war as something that happens over there
Right.
in some far-off country, but this ACLE conflict index, this is where that 1 in 7 figure comes from.
Right.
It paints a much, much wider picture.
Yeah, it's like we all know there are wars happening,
Right.
but this data really drives home just how much conflict
Yeah.
spills into everyday life for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the big international news headlines, is it?
No, not at all. The data also includes things like internal conflicts, cartel violence, even gang activity,
Really?
depending on what context we're looking at.
Wow.
It highlights how complex it is today.
So we're not just talking about countries fighting each other.
No, not at all. The lines are very blurry. One report, we looked at conflict trends in 2023.
Okay.
They highlight this trend. It's called internationalized interstate conflicts.
Hold on. Are we talking like full-on puppet governments here?
Oh,
Because they just took this to a whole new level.
it's a good analogy.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Imagine a local gang war.
Yeah.
Now imagine one of those gangs gets backing and weapons
Ah.
from a powerful international crime syndicate.
Oh.
Suddenly, a local conflict has gone global.
Wow.
Higher stakes.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing in places like Mali and Myanmar, where
Yeah.
Russia is directly involved,
Wow.
pushing its own agenda.
So more players, higher
Mhm.
stakes, and a lot less clarity.
A lot less clear.
This actually connects to something else we were looking at.
Okay.
This "what is war today" source.
Right.
It argues that the very nature of war is changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just armies clashing on a battlefield anymore.
Absolutely. We're seeing this blend of traditional warfare, terrorism, state-sponsored violence.
Okay.
There's this shift away from total victory
Okay.
and toward more limited political goals.
So in some cases, war is being used as just another tool,
Yeah.
albeit a more brutal one of diplomacy.
A chilling thought,
Yeah,
but an important one to consider.
it is.
This blurring of the lines makes it even harder to define, let alone achieve lasting peace.
And then there's the elephant in the room,
Okay.
the one we all try to avoid thinking about,
Great.
nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
The CPRI report showed global spending on these weapons actually increased in 2022.
It's a sobering statistic.
Yeah.
And while Russia and the U.S. still have the majority of the world's nuclear arsenal,
Right.
that report also highlights China. They're actively expanding and modernizing their own capabilities.
It feels like we're living in this time where the threat of nuclear conflict,
Yeah.
however distant it might seem, is always present.
It's a reality we can't ignore.
Yeah.
And it's crucial to remember that conflict, even a hypothetical nuclear one,
Right.
it has far-reaching consequences
Yeah.
that go way beyond the immediate casualties.
And that leads us to another disturbing aspect of all of this.
Okay.
The vulnerability of global food supplies.
Precisely. Even back in 1986, the NCBI was already studying this.
Wow.
The fragility of food supply chains in
Yeah.
a potential nuclear war scenario.
And so are we talking about like a global famine situation?
Their projections were grim.
Yeah.
Food production is very centralized.
Right.
Certain regions providing the bulk of specific crops,
Mm-hmm.
large-scale disruptions to transportation, whether due to conflict or the after effects of a nuclear exchange,
Right.
would be absolutely catastrophic.
This is where it gets really unsettling. Because you're saying even if you survive the initial event,
Right.
the aftermath could be just as bad, if not worse.
Exactly. And this connects to the larger picture of global risks
Okay.
that we see outlined by organizations like S&P Global.
Hmm.
They list things like economic instability, cyber attacks, climate change,
Wow.
even the potential for deglobalization
Sure.
as major threats to the world order. It's not just about bombs and bullets. It's this whole web of interconnected risks.
Yeah.
And they all impact our daily lives.
Okay, so it's like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Conflict somewhere else ends up impacting everyone, even if we don't see it right away.
Exactly. These risks can affect everything, the price of groceries, job security, even the stability of our communities.
It's pretty overwhelming when you lay it all out like that.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, with all these factors pushing us towards conflict,
Right,
can peace ever really exist?
right.
Or is it just an illusion, like we were saying before?
That's the core question, isn't it? Is true lasting peace achievable on a global scale?
Right.
Or is it something we each have to find in our own way amidst the chaos?
That's a big question.
It is. And I don't think there's one single answer.
Yeah.
But grappling with it, understanding those complexities of both peace and conflict in our world, that's a start.
Okay.
It's easy to feel powerless
Right.
in the face of these huge interconnected issues.
Especially with that looming sense of inevitable conflict.
Yeah,
Is that what makes peace feel like an illusion?
possibly.
The fact that there's always another conflict brewing somewhere?
It's certainly part of it. The UN Secretary General in a recent speech called Peace, Humanity's Greatest Responsibility.
Okay.
But how do we even begin to talk about peace?
Right.
With so much working against it.
Where do we even start? It feels like we're always playing catch-up,
Yeah.
reacting to the latest crisis.
It's true that we often find ourselves reacting rather than preventing.
Right.
But the Secretary General's point is crucial. We can't give up on striving for peace, even if progress feels slow.
So amidst all this darkness,
Yeah.
there's still hope.
Hope, yes. But more importantly, a call to action.
Okay.
If peace is humanity's greatest responsibility, then each of us has a role to play
Okay.
in fostering understanding, promoting cooperation, and advocating for peaceful solutions.
That makes sense. But how do we do that when the world feels so divided?
Yeah.
Everyone's got an agenda. It's like we're being pulled in a million
I
different
re-
directions.
You hit on a key point, globalization.
Okay.
You might think it would bring us closer to peace,
Right.
but in many ways it's amplified the consequences of our actions
Okay.
and our divisions.
So you're saying, wait, hasn't globalization made the world more interconnected
Right.
and peaceful?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
It's true that globalization has brought us closer in terms of things like trade and communication,
Right.
but it's also made us more aware of our differences.
Okay.
A conflict in one part of the world can now have a domino effect, impacting us all through economic disruption, refugee crises, the spread of disinformation.
So it's not just about bombs and borders anymore. It's about ideas, information,
Right.
and the speed at which they can travel.
Exactly. And that's why understanding these global dynamics is more important than ever.
Okay.
We can't just be aware of what's happening. We need to understand the why behind it.
Mhm.
We need to be informed citizens to engage in thoughtful dialogue, to advocate for peaceful solutions.
You're saying we need to go beyond just reading headlines
Yeah.
and actually dig deeper, understand the nuances and how these issues are all connected.
Precisely. We can't afford to be passive observers.
Wow.
In a world as interconnected and volatile as ours,
Okay.
knowledge, as they say, is power.
And in this case, knowledge about global conflict might be the most powerful tool we have
Right.
for building a more peaceful future.
That's a powerful insight.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
and it's a lot to process. We've talked about the illusion of peace, the challenges of achieving it. But you said something earlier that really stuck with me.
Okay.
This idea that maybe we each have to find peace within ourselves first.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
It's a question that's especially relevant today. When the world feels like it's on the edge of chaos, right?
Right.
Where do we find peace? It might sound cliche, but
Yeah.
I believe cultivating inner peace,
Okay.
that sense of resilience, is more crucial than ever.
So you're saying even if the world feels like it's on fire,
Yeah,
we can still find that spark of peace within ourselves.
exactly. It's about finding that inner strength, that ability to face uncertainty with a sense of calm and hope, even compassion.
Yeah.
And it's not about ignoring the problems or pretending they don't exist.
Right.
It's about approaching them from a place of inner peace,
Okay.
which allows us to act with more clarity and purpose.
I think a lot of people listening might be thinking like,
Yeah.
okay, that's nice and all, but how does my inner peace actually change anything out there
Right.
in the real world?
That's a fair question.
Sure.
It's not about passive hope. It's about recognizing that our inner state influences our actions, our interactions with others.
Oh.
If we approach challenges with fear and anger,
Right.
it's more likely to escalate conflict.
Yeah.
But if we cultivate a sense of inner peace,
Okay.
it can ripple outwards,
Okay.
influencing our relationships, our communities,
Okay.
and maybe contributing to a more peaceful world.
So it's about leading by example,
Yeah.
showing people that even in the face of all this
Yeah.
uncertainty and conflict, it is possible to find that inner calm.
Precisely. It's about being the change we want to see,
Right.
not just on a global scale, but in our own lives, our own communities.
That's a powerful message. It's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom.
Right.
Feel powerless.
Yeah,
But you're right, it starts with each of us.
it does. And maybe that's a more realistic definition of peace.
Okay.
Listen, in the world we live in today,
Yeah.
not the absence of conflict,
Okay.
but the ability to navigate it,
Yeah.
to face it with courage and compassion.
Both within ourselves and in our interactions with others.
It's not about achieving world peace overnight. It's about taking those small steps,
Yeah.
cultivating that inner peace, and letting it guide our actions.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe those ripples of individual peace will eventually converge
Wow.
and create a wave of change that's powerful enough to make a real difference.
That's a hopeful thought to end on. And frankly, after this deep dive, I think we could all use a little hope.
I agree.
For those of you listening who want to explore these topics further,
Yeah.
we'll link all the reports and articles we discussed in the show notes.
Please do.
It's fascinating and crucial to see how these global issues are all connected and how they impact our lives, even in unexpected ways.
Yeah, it's all connected. And remember, even amidst the complexities of global conflict, there's always hope, always room for understanding and compassion. Never underestimate the power of your own actions, no matter how small they may seem.
Well said. That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive.
It was a good one. It's there. Thanks for joining us as we explored this challenging but incredibly important topic.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep striving for a more peaceful world both within and around you.